Hey everybody, so today I'm back to do the third in my currently reading series. It seems like y'all like these videos. You like to hear what I have to say in the middle of the books that I'm reading. And I am here to give you what you want. But today I have 4 books to tell you about, so we better get started. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you doing today? The weather is beautiful in Northern California. I mean, goodness gracious. So I hope you're happy, healthy, safe, and warm right now. Yeah, I cannot complain. I am reading some amazing books, which I'm about to tell you all about. Yeah, and I am about to do some insane traveling for work, to be honest with you. I'm about to go up to Portland for a meeting, and then I'm going to turn that into a visit to my parents who live about 2 hours south of Portland. But you do not think I'm going to go all the way to Portland and not spend some time in Powell's bookstore, right? I can't do it. It would be criminal. So I'm going to spend an extra night in Portland so that I can do some Powell shopping. So I'm super excited to share the books that I pick up from Powell's with you when I get back. But today I'm here to tell you about what I'm reading, and it is such an amazing stack of books. So as always, get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, however you keep track of your TBR. If you are so able, of course, get these books from your local independent bookstore. I have 3 books. They are all coming out soon. Actually, 2 are out, I'm just remembering, and 2 are coming out very, very soon. And yeah, if you're a library user, get your library to get you a copy. Get your name on the list. I did that for one book that I was waiting for. I wanted to read it digitally, so I put my name on the list, and the minute they bought it, I got it. So let's get started. The first book that I want to tell you about is The Home for Wayward Girls by Marcia Bradley. This is out from Harper, and I think this book went straight to paperback. I don't know if it came out in hardback first. I apologize, I didn't look it up, but that doesn't matter because it's out there in the world and you can get your hands on it. This book will rip your heart up. So this is the story of our main character. Her name's Loretta. It's told in 2 parts. One in sort of a modern day New York City part where she has grown up and she is living her new life. And then past where she was raised on a farm, basically the daughter of 2 terrible parents who ran a school for girls that were sent there, and basically it was just torture. It was torture. They're like mentally abused, in ways physically abused, a lot of pray for your sins sort of stuff. What I will say about this is the parts in The Home for Wayward Girls are very difficult. I mean, they're heart-wrenching, and William, who is the father figure, is a horrible villain, which I think what Marcia Bradley does amazing is he's not always on the page in those sections, but his sort of negative, ominous spirit just oozes through those sections, and the fear that the girls fear. Now, Loretta is like a senior in high school when they start with the plan of when she turns 18 of running away. She meets a girl in the last days that she's there that she becomes like friends with. Like they just instantly connect, and they make a plan to run away together. Okay, the other section is in New York City. Loretta is living there with her husband, and she has created a nonprofit that helps homeless women, and she's being interviewed, and there's a conference going on. I'm not exactly sure. There's also something else going on. Her husband, who's a lawyer, is dealing with. I don't know where it's going, but I'm super interested to see how all of these pieces tied together. I will tell you, it's a heart-wrencher, but the flipping back and forth is really cool because you sort of get the hope of the fact that Loretta does escape, but you see what she had to go through to get where she is today. I'm really, really liking it. I had never heard of this book until it arrived, and yeah, I'm really happy to be reading it. So that's The Home for Wayward Girls by Marcia Bradley, out from Harper Books, and I think this one's out now. You can get your hands on it as we speak. Okay, the next book, I have some tough books for women and what they're going through. But the next book I want to tell you about is Ivy Pochoda's Sing Her Down. This is out from MCD. It comes out on May 23rd. I don't even know. The back of the book says that this is No Country for Old Men meets Killing Eve. And it is actually quite perfect. So basically, we meet two characters. We have Florida, whose legal name is Florence. She is in prison with Dios, I believe. Dios. They are in prison together. Something has happened in the prison that has sort of brought them together. Dios is a woman with a lot of aggression in her demeanor, and she sort of feeds into violence in a lot of ways. Now, Florence, or Florida, is in prison. You'll find out why. I'm not going to spoil that for you, but what winds up happening is that there's like this weird obsession Dios has with Florida. They wind up getting an early release from prison due to COVID, and they are released to this hotel where they are to quarantine for 2 weeks, and then they'll be free, okay? But what happens is they wind up getting on a bus to head to Los Angeles, to where Florida is from, and so much goes on. So there are many perspectives in this book. There's Florida's perspective. There is her cellmate at the time she leaves, who gives us sort of an omniscient sort of perspective on a couple of things that goes on. And then I've just finished a section where an officer who is investigating a murder has her voice into this investigation, and all the pieces are going to come together. Now, this is not a book for the lighthearted. It is very, very violent. But in a way, it's about women taking ownership of the violence done to them and what they do with that power, if that makes sense. It is very visceral, the book, in the way that it's written. I mean, Ivy, that is, has such a way of creating place and a sense of environment, if that makes sense. So if you've read, it has a lot of violent parts to it. There is blood, there is murder, there's all of that stuff, y'all. But what's really interesting is this relationship between Florida and Dios, and the complicated nature of it all, but also sort of their reintroduction to the world at a time when the world was shut down. So it's very interesting. I'm really enjoying it. I have no idea where it's going. And I hope I did a good enough job for you to want to pick it up. So that's Ivy Pochoda's Sing Her Down, out from MCD on May 23rd of this year. Okay, so the next book I'm reading is actually out as well, but the fourth book in this fantasy series was just released, and Orbit, the publisher, was nice enough to send me the entire series. So I am currently 256 pages into book one of this series. This is We Ride the Storm by Devin, Madson. And again, this is the Reborn Empire series, and book 4 was just released. So I read about book 4, and I thought that the series sounded interesting. I did not realize how swept away I would be with this book. So this book is told in 3 different voices. One is, and I'm gonna have to get some help with the names, Miko. So Miko is the princess of the kingdom. She is thought to be the daughter of the emperor, and she and her brother and their mother all have these political plans going on in order to dethrone the emperor, who they feel is in the throne as sort of he took over and he shouldn't be there. Sorry, I wanted to use a word, but I didn't know how to say it. So I sort of pivoted there. We find out very quickly that there is a lot going on, and we find out very quickly that Miko and her brother were actually the children of the prior emperor, who was killed for being a traitor. We're going to put that in question marks because you learn a lot about that. The second section is from the point of view of Cassandra. Cassandra is an assassin who can sort of hear the voices of the dead. That's not sort of, she can, and she has one stuck in her head, and she is hired to go into the world to kill basically 2 people. And you find out very quickly that they are powerful people from her own country that she is supposed to kill. And they are headed to Miko so that Miko can marry the son of the ruler of that country. So they're going to try to broker peace, because these 2 empires have been at war for a very long time. The third voice is Ra, R-A-H. He is a leader of a sort of, I'm going to use the word barbarian, but that is very interestingly discussed in the book. But they're a tribe of nomads, really, and they're very connected to their horses, connected to their people, connected to their faith. And his group has been exiled from his homeland, and as soon as they sort of get into one of the empires, they are taken over and sort of integrated at their own peril into this war that's going on. Basically told if they don't fight, they will all be killed. And you learn that there's all these pieces going on, all of this different political intrigue. And I probably am not doing a great job of explaining it, because every sort of section you learn more and you see how things are coming together, and I just am turning the pages. It is such a great fantasy series. Not a ton of magic or anything like that as of yet. I'm sure maybe more will become, but it's really like one of those political fantasy novels. It's got a lot of Asian history inspiration in sort of the feel of the world that we're in. And yeah, no, I am really, really, really liking it. I'm good. I'm pretty far for a fantasy book, you know. This is my thing about fantasy books. I'm 260 pages in and it doesn't even look like I'm halfway through. But I am really, really enjoying We Ride the Storm by Devin Madson. This is book 1 in the Reborn Empire series. Book 4 just came out, so you have plenty of pages to read if this is your thing. Okay, last but not least, so normally I only do 3 books. I'm only reading 3 books at a time, but as I said in my last video, my husband asked me this year to read a book with him a month. We have now read 2, and we are currently reading our 3rd book together, and that is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This is out from Quirk Books in the United States, and this, talk about a page turner. I will say, so this starts as a Southern book club. It's a woman, Patricia, I want to say that's her name. Yes, Patricia. She is a member of a book club where in the very beginning of the book, she doesn't read it, and she doesn't read the book for the book club, which cardinal sin, right? And sort of gets turned out, and then she finds this other group of people who want to read like true crime, murder mysteries, and all this stuff. They wind up reading much broader than that, but that's really what brings them together. So there are this book club of women reading these true crimes, Ted Bundy, all that kind of stuff. They're really into it. Well, one night, Patricia goes outside and she is attacked by a woman and her ear is bitten off. I'm not going to say anything else than that. And she winds up getting involved with that woman, this one of her neighbors, grand nephews, I believe is it. Grand nephew, yes. And when I say involved, I don't mean like a relationship. She like gets to know him. It turns out that the woman who attacks her winds up dying, and she winds up becoming and befriending this man, this new man to town who drives this really strange white van who can't go out in the daylight without issues. His eyes water up and all that. What later turns out to be is that there in one of the communities, the Black community, children are going missing. And she arrives there and she seems to think that this stranger has arrived and he is more than he seems. And the book is so good. I will say I have never been more terrified of rats. There is a section with rats that is horrifying. But there's like a weird like underlying sense of humor to this book that I am just digging, and Patricia is just trying to figure it out. Her husband is a poo-poo head. He is just not a nice person. He is always missing. She has 2 teenage children. She's sort of trying to find her way in a lot of ways. It's about how much work women do in a community that they don't get credit for a lot of the times. This book also tackles that idea, but in the end, it is like a horror thriller, and it's not scary. So I know in my last video, people were so surprised that I said that I was reading a horror book. This is horror in the sort of gentlest term of that. But I'm absolutely adoring it. And that's The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. So those are the 4 books that I'm currently reading in my currently reading series. There you go. I hope that most of them, I thought not all of them should wind up on your TBR. They are all fantastic. I cannot wait to see how they all end. As always, if you're a return subscriber, I could not do this without you. If you are new to my channel, I say thank you so much. Please hit subscribe. Still trying to get to that 13,000 mark, but I really appreciate every single one of you. And as always, I encourage you to read globally, shop locally, and until next time, I wish you happy reading. Bye, everybody.